The Way We Were, where we unearth a thread of continuity in cinema, music, art, culture, society, and politics to discover the connection to each other.
Hi, this is Rima, and you're listening to The Way We Were. The other day, wanting to escape the din around the US election results, I fell right into a social media rabbit hole cluttered with reports of online assaults on women by male supremacists in America. One report in particular triggered me, where someone who goes by the name of Nicholas Fuentes issued this message to women: "Your body, my choice forever." This tweet, viewed more than 1 million times and reposted as well, was referring not just to the reproductive rights of women that the Republicans want to roll back, but actual violence, sexual and otherwise. As the user said, women threatening sex strikes like LMAO as if you have a say. Another added, they'll be bred willingly or unwillingly. So that's where we are in the gender dialogue between men and women in 2024, which we will all agree is not the Stone Age. So how did we get here? How did we get to a point where men are actually posting in public that they will not slow down their cars if they see women crossing roads? This kind of misogyny that you once saw in crime shows from the mouths of criminals and serial killers is now loud and proud. And it's been mainstreamed by social media influencers and political figures like Donald Trump Jr., who posted photos of Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris with the comment, "Trump arrested for beating 2 women." And post the elections, 2 men walked into a Texas University campus with signs that read, "Women are property." They did so because they thought they had won the war against gender equity and felt empowered after the triumph of a candidate who has been accused of sexual assault and still went on to be elected twice to the highest seat of power in the US. So that question again, how did we get here? Well, the simplistic answer to that question would be it started with the celebration of the idea of a domineering alpha man in popular culture. Before his political career, Trump was an emblem of this culture. He was portrayed in a reality show that firmly embedded him in the popular imagination as an aspirational figure who lived in gilded homes, had his own chopper engraved with his initials, could hire and fire people at will, and had a trophy wife. He made cameo appearances in films including Home Alone 2, and even Oprah Winfrey interviewed him in his gold-flecked penthouse. Nobody investigated his 6 bankruptcies or how he had over-leveraged his hotel and casino businesses. Nobody discussed his inappropriate behavior with the young Miss America contestants when he would walk into teen dressing rooms and joke about his obligation to sleep with the contestants. On Shock Jock, Howard Stern's show, he actually said, "No men are anywhere and I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant. They're standing there with no clothes and you see these incredible looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that." The fact that he got away with this and a lot more and is now being anointed by his followers as a Christ-like savior of Christian values and of America should tell us something about the cognitive dissonance that propaganda creates in people. He resonates with white men and women who, like him, enjoy the privilege of dehumanizing other races with their votes, their slurs, and their guns. They want to create a majoritarian America and have placed him twice in the White House. Alpha males have always been at the center of American film lore as well. Francis Ford Coppola's Godfather trilogy had very, very little space for women and celebrated violent men and retribution. Retribution, incidentally, is a term that Trump has used recently. Misogyny is also baked in most male-centric narratives. If you remember Michael Douglas, justified white rage in the controversial film Falling Down, and also worked in films like Fatal Attraction and Disclosure, where difficult women, complicated women, embodying heedless entitlement that society traditionally excuses in men. These women, however, get punished spectacularly. Even a film as recent as Joker contextualizes a serial killer's rampage in his backstory. The same concessions are made for white perpetrators of gun violence who are described in the media as lone wolves and loners with mental health issues and not domestic terrorists who gun down children in schools. This lack of accountability is also visible in the policing of black bodies and the random killings of people of color by police officers in America. America's interference in other democracies and the carnage it has directly carried out or sponsored across the globe has been mirrored in rabidly violent films like Rambo, where the protagonist joins a group of mercenaries to enter war-torn Burma to rescue a group of Christian aid workers. But coming back to today, the American economy, if you see, is also no longer of the people and for the people. It has become a hegemony of bad boys who have been accused of bad behavior and for undermining democratic values. Under Jeff Bezos' stewardship, the Washington Post is no longer the bastion of democracy, as was visible when the paper, which had once broken the Watergate scandal, fearlessly refused to take sides before the election and did not endorse the Democratic candidate. Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook, which has often allowed unhindered dissemination of fake news, was recently castigated by CNN for public statements implicitly supporting right-wing censorship narratives, describing Donald Trump as a badass while claiming to be neutral and non-partisan. Musk's ownership of Twitter has made it even more polarizing, even more conducive to vicious misogyny, propaganda, and misinformation. His open support to Trump will possibly also enable him to meddle in policy making. Just goes to show how easy it is for a billionaire to acquire political power unapologetically and blatantly. As of today, Trump is the president, and the man who once boasted on David Letterman's show that he made the heels higher and the bathing suit smaller in the Miss USA pageant is indeed now the US president. That people are celebrating the rise of such men shows how much work needs to be done in the discourse around gender and social equity. But regardless of the pervasive darkness and cruelty that so many people seem to be relishing today, there really was a time when kindness and goodness and hope brought people together. The passing of Quincy Jones reminded me of We Are the World and the 80s, a decade when we felt a sudden surge of hope for the future of humanity, for the possibility of coming together and correcting historical wrongs and setting them right. This is when the Berlin Wall fell. Band Aid and Live Aid raised about $150 million for famine relief in Ethiopia. And on a charmed night on January 21, 1985, We Are the World was recorded by 45 musical stars to raise more than $80 million for humanitarian aid in Africa and the US. The goosebumps come back every single time I watch the video and bask in the joy and magic that only intentional kindness and collective goodness can create. The documentary The Greatest Night in Pop on Netflix captures how this historic song produced by Quincy Jones was, created and how it came together. These words rang true then and do so now. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere soon will make a change. We're all part of God's great big family. And the truth, love is all we need. Today, a similar cultural counterpoint to the horrors unfolding around us would be hard to find. It may seem that it's not love but hate that we need. We need hate to win elections. to justify war crimes, the murder of thousands of Palestinian kids, and to relish the misery and the dehumanization of the other. But as a young person told me this week, you cannot change everything, but you can do something. You can help someone in need. You can stand up for someone and for yourself. And you can be a tiny flame of light in the gathering gloom and a force of good chipping away at the edifice of brute power.
The Way We Were, where we revisit the past to understand how the ebb and flow of popular culture shapes the way we are. Only on The Podcaster.